Welcome to Commercial Real Estate Explained. This video is 5 steps to buying your first commercial real estate. I see a lot of videos and articles online that are all about how to get into commercial real estate, how to buy your first commercial deal. I think a lot of people are intrigued about going from residential to commercial real estate. But this video is not going to be one of those, here's how you buy commercial real estate with no money down, or here are creative financing ways in order to buy commercial real estate when you wouldn't normally qualify. That's not what this is about. Really, the focus of this video is making it clear that I believe business owners are the ideal commercial real estate investors. So this video is a focus for business owners, helping them figure out how to buy their own commercial real estate. We talk about it in other videos, but when you're a business owner and you buy commercial real estate for your own use, there are all kinds of advantages you have over a traditional investor. Firstly, you know the tenant because you are the tenant. You don't have to buy a vacant building and hope to find a tenant. You are the tenant. There's all kinds of cost savings, and you get rid of all that uncertainty when you buy a building for yourself. Of course, lenders love when you buy a building for your own use because they don't have to worry about it as much. There are all kinds of loan packages that make it much more affordable than you'd expect to buy commercial real estate for your business's use. So now that we've established that, I'm going to talk about the 5 steps you have to take in order to buy your first commercial real estate. We have a series that goes through many more steps in depth, but this is just a general overview to get you excited and help you realize that the process is not quite as daunting as you might think. So the first thing you want to do is make a needs versus wants list. This is important. Essentially, take a step back and say, if I could click my heels and own a commercial building, what are the things that building it needs, it has to have, and what are some things that would just be great? So you want to make a list. It's 2 lists. Firstly is, in order for me to function, I have to have, let's say, a large conference room. Maybe you have to be within a few miles of a big client of yours that you do a lot of driving back and forth to. You want to make that list of things that, in order to function, you pretty much have to have these things. So that's the first list. The second list is things that are wants, things that would be great for your business, that your employees would love. Maybe it's a lot of natural light because right now your office space doesn't have that, or maybe it's just up the street from your house to make your commute way better. Those are things that would be great and that you would want, but you don't necessarily need to operate. Step 2 is choose a broker. Now, I think this is very important. Obviously, I'm a little biased. I am a commercial real estate broker, but I think it's extremely important to find a broker that you trust early on in the process. I encourage you to talk to several. Talk to friends and see who they recommend, look at online reviews, but make sure you actually call and interview people. And don't be afraid to talk to multiple brokers, because this is someone you're going to work a lot with. This is someone you're really trusting to look out for your best interests, and you want to do more than just look at some quick online reviews and call the first person you find. So the reason you want to choose a broker early on is they're going to guide you through the rest of these steps. This channel here, we give a lot of great advice on how to buy your own building, but your commercial real estate broker is going to know the local market and is going to help really guide you and take a lot of this work off your plate. You're a business owner, you're busy, your highest and best use is running your business. So you want to bring a broker in early that is going to take a lot of that off your plate. In my opinion, the most important things to look for in a broker is to make sure you find someone who is responsive and ethical. So responsive, obviously, you don't want somebody that you say, hey, I'd like to go see this building, and they say, man, I'm really busy, let's go take a look in 2 weeks. You want someone who is excited and willing and ready to prioritize, your search. So for me, responsiveness, I think, is extremely important. Secondly is ethical. You want someone that you trust, someone you think is going to really look out for the best interest of your business, someone that's going to represent you. Oftentimes there can be dual representation where you just go with the broker that's representing the seller. And, there's obviously nothing wrong with that. But when you take a step back, is that person really looking out for your best interest above all else? And you want a broker that you feel confidently is going to go to bat for you and give you good advice. They're going to tell you when to walk away and, when that, hey, this is really the best price we're going to get. If you want this building, we got to go for it. You need to have that trust. So it's important that you do that interviewing up front and really take your time with this part of the process. Step number 3, this is really important, is getting your loan pre-approval. Now this goes hand in hand with finding a lender, which is also really important. You want someone that is responsive and is qualified. They only do commercial lending. You want to find somebody that is willing to really put the time in and help explain to you how the process works. You want someone that's going to break down the fees and make it clear what your interest rate could be. You really want this person to be your expert in commercial lending and be willing to teach you and answer all your questions. The reason it's so important to get pre-approved is you want to do all of this before you start searching for commercial real estate, because if on the first day of your search, you look at 5 buildings and the first one you're floored and you're like, this building is the perfect building. I don't know how I'm going to find one more perfect. If you're not pre-approved and ready to kind of go after that quickly, there's a chance someone else is going to jump in front of you. Also, getting pre-approved up front is going to force you to be organized, to get all your financials over to your lender, and it's going to help your lender give you an idea of what your budget should be. If you go out looking for properties and get really excited and put an offer in and you don't have a pre-approval, you don't even know if you can afford that building. Plus, any commercial real estate broker representing a seller is going to want to know, are you pre-qualified? Like, are you actually able to buy the building at the price that you're proposing? And if you come in without a pre-approval, there's just going to be, you're not going to have as much credibility, and you're not going to be in as strong of a position as if you have a letter from your lender ready to go. That's going to show that you're a serious buyer. Number 4 is going to be lease versus own analysis. This is something you can do before you start searching, or you can do it after you found a property that you're excited about. But you want to make sure that your commercial real estate broker walks you through how much your all-in monthly cost for owning this building is going to be versus what you were already paying to rent office or warehouse space. So this is really important analysis, and you really want to be very, very thorough, because you don't want to close on the building and find out that maybe you were paying $4,000 a month in your renting expenses, and then you close on the building and all of a sudden you're paying $10,000 a month. That's a massive jump for your business and something that you don't want to be surprised by. So the good news is that it depends on your market, but in a lot of cases, your all-in monthly renting expense is not usually that different than the ownership expense, just because of where we're at with interest rates, and there's a lot that goes into it. But the reality is you may be surprised by how owning commercial real estate has a lot of benefits, and it's not significantly more expensive than leasing. And that analysis you want to do pretty early on in the process. You can do that before you start touring, or you can do that as soon as you find one that's a little bit interesting. But you want to make sure you do that so that you don't get all invested in a building and then realize it's going to double your real estate expense, and it's something that you don't actually want to do. Now, once you find a property, you're going to go into what I think is a very important step. It's number 5. This is when you're in contract, is going to be your due diligence. So this is something that you really want to dig into and focus on. You want to carve time out of your schedule to make sure you're available for all of this. You're going to have building inspectors go through. You're going to have HVAC techs. The roof, HVAC tend to be big ticket items. You want to make sure that all of that is thoroughly inspected. You want to look through all of the previous owners' ownership expenses. Make sure you understand, this goes back to the lease versus own analysis, but make sure there aren't line items that you didn't know you're going to have to pay for that you didn't factor into your lease versus own. So your due diligence is essentially making sure you understand what you're buying. Don't rely on someone else to just say, oh, looks fine, go ahead and buy it. You want reports, you want experts looking at it, and you want someone really scrutinizing the condition of the building. One thing to keep in mind is if you have inspectors go through and they don't find anything and everything is perfect, you might want to hire other inspectors, or it's a brand new spotless building. What's going to come out of these inspections, it's going to freak you out. I mean, it's just like buying a home. Your inspector goes through and identifies 50 things that you didn't see, and it starts to kind of scare you a little bit. That is totally normal and something that you should expect during the due diligence process. The key is understanding what it's going to cost to fix those things. How many of those things can you live with? And then, might be an opportunity to ask for a discount on the price. At the very least, you want to understand, what am I going to have to fix on day one to make sure my business can function, and make sure you budget for that. Make sure you have the extra cash put aside. Lastly, after you've done the due diligence, you're feeling good about the numbers, this building you think is going to be a great long-term investment for you and your business, you want to think about the exit strategy. I know this sounds crazy, but before you close on your building, you want to ask yourself, what's going to happen if my business fails and I have to lease this out to somebody else? Is it in a good location? Are there a lot of other businesses nearby that would want to lease it? Is the structure of it, is the layout something that would be popular for somebody else? You also want to think about, down the line, is this something I'm going to want to keep as an investment and basically cash flow? If I sell my business, is the buyer of the business going to be willing to lease? Can I sell the building with my business to make it even more valuable? In my opinion, this is one of the more fun aspects of it, because you think about how this commercial building can really help your long-term financial goals. We talk about it in videos a lot, but when you spend $3,000 a month on rent over 30 years, you spend over $1 million to someone else. You're paying somebody else over $1 million. When you buy your commercial building, you're paying yourself rent and you're building equity in your building. There are all kinds of great benefits to owning commercial real estate, but you want to make sure you think about, hey, if things go badly, or if things change and I decide to move out of state and I want to sell this, am I buying it at a price or at a location that I can, make a profit on, or at least get my money out of? Can I lease it to somebody else and feel safe afterwards? So before you close, you want to think about your exit strategy. I know it seems counterintuitive, but it's very important. So thank you so much for hanging in here. We have a series that breaks down these steps and more in depth. Feel free to check those out on another playlist. But I just wanted to make this as a little bit shorter video, a little bit less daunting, of the 6 main steps to buy your first commercial real estate. This is geared toward business owners, but a lot of this advice is important for any commercial real estate buyers. So thank you so much for watching. Here at Commercial Real Estate Explained, we help business owners make informed decisions about their commercial real estate. If you got value out of this video, please hit subscribe, hit like. I'd really appreciate it. We're trying to get this information out there to business owners across the country. So thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Dave with Carlson O'Connell Commercial Real Estate. If you ever need help about buying your own building for your own business, definitely reach out to us. So thank you and have a great rest of your week.